This is the London you see in the movies, a global center of finance, culture, and power. A city of shimmering skyscrapers, historic townhouses, and unrivaled luxury. But for a select group of the world's richest people, this city offers something else entirely: impunity. London is widely seen as a major global hub for dirty money. For decades, it has rolled out the red carpet for corrupt and criminal individuals from across the globe. Because London isn't just a city, it's a service. For a certain type of billionaire, it's the most sophisticated money laundering machine in the world. And in many ways, it was designed to be just that. So, how does it all work? Let's break it down. To understand London's appeal, you first have to get inside the mind of an oligarch with a questionable fortune. You've plundered your country's resources, taken a cut from state contracts, or seized a rival's company. You have billions, but it's dirty money. You can't just deposit it into a high street bank or buy a super yacht. First, you have to make it look clean. You need to wash it. And London has become the world's finest laundromat. The process generally happens in 3 stages: placement, layering, and integration. It starts with placement, getting the illicit cash into the financial system. But the second and most crucial step is layering. This is where London's unique ecosystem really comes into play. The goal is to create as much distance as possible between the dirty money and its owner. The key to this is secrecy, provided by a network of offshore jurisdictions that feel almost purpose-built for the job. This is where the ghost of the British Empire comes back to haunt us. Many of the world's most notorious secrecy jurisdictions, the British Virgin Islands, the Cayman Islands, Bermuda, are British overseas territories. For years, they offered the perfect tool for an oligarch, the anonymous shell company. For a small fee, you could create a company with no real business, no employees, and no office. Its sole purpose was to hold assets, and most importantly, the true owner could be hidden from view. You transfer your money from, say, a bank in Moscow to your new shell company in the British Virgin Islands. Then, that company sends the money to another shell company in the Cayman Islands. You can create a chain of a dozen such companies, a web of transactions so complex that it becomes incredibly difficult for investigators to trace the money back to you. This brings us to the final stage: integration. Once the money is layered through this offshore maze, it needs a destination to re-enter the legitimate economy. And there is no better way to do this than with prime London real estate. Your Cayman Islands shell company buys a £30 million townhouse in Belgravia or an entire floor of a glass tower overlooking the Thames. Suddenly, your illicit cash has been transformed into a stable, respectable, and very tangible asset. Government reports have highlighted that buying a house is one of the easiest ways to turn dirty money into a legitimate asset. You now own a piece of London, and the city has just washed your fortune clean. But an oligarch can't just walk into London and do this alone. It takes an army of willing helpers, a whole ecosystem of highly paid, highly skilled professionals right here in the city who make it all happen. This is the part of the story that's often overlooked. We focus on the oligarchs, but they are just the clients. London provides the service, and that service is delivered by its elite professional class. First up, the lawyers. Top-tier law firms in the City of London are experts at creating complex legal structures, like trusts and offshore companies, that provide powerful secrecy protections. They can structure deals in a way that, while morally questionable, stays just on the right side of legal. Then you have the estate agents. The luxury property market has feasted on this foreign investment for years. In one undercover TV investigation, reporters posing as corrupt Russian officials were welcomed by London estate agents who offered to help them invest their ill-gotten gains and even recommended lawyers who could hide their identities. A multi-million-pound commission can be a powerful incentive to not ask too many questions. This has created a phenomenon where entire apartment blocks in prime London are dark most of the time, their anonymous owners living elsewhere. Next are the wealth managers and accountants, and finally, the banks. Major UK banks have been found to have processed transactions linked to suspected criminal flows from Russia, channeled through UK corporate structures. This whole network has turned parts of London into a playground for the global elite, earning it the nickname Londongrad. In neighborhoods like Belgravia, Knightsbridge, and Mayfair, a huge number of multi-million-pound properties are owned not by people, but by anonymous offshore companies. The anti-corruption group Transparency International estimates that Russians accused of corruption or with links to the Kremlin have purchased at least £1.5 billion worth of UK property. But given the secrecy, the real number is almost certainly much higher. This is what London truly sells, not just property, but respectability. As one author put it, London's core industry is transforming thugs into aristocrats. So, why London? Why did this city, above all others, become the world's premier destination for suspicious wealth? Well, this wasn't an accident. It was the result of deliberate political and economic choices stretching back decades. The story really begins with the end of the British Empire. As Britain's global influence waned, the City of London needed a new role. It found one in managing the booming world of offshore finance. The UK cultivated a network of overseas territories and crown dependencies, which became hubs for capital that wanted to avoid regulation and tax. This created a dual system, a regulated onshore economy in the UK, and a secretive offshore world that was intimately connected to it. Then came the 1980s and the big bang of financial deregulation under Margaret Thatcher, which prized the free flow of capital above all else. This philosophy, embraced by successive governments, created a hyper-open, lightly regulated environment that was irresistible to new money. After the Soviet Union fell, a new class of oligarchs emerged, immensely rich, but needing a safe place to park their wealth. Britain saw an opportunity. In the 1990s, the government introduced golden visas. The deal was simple. If you were a wealthy foreigner willing to invest £1 million or more in the UK, you could get a fast track to residency and, eventually, citizenship. In theory, there were checks. In practice, they were minimal. It was an open invitation. The scheme ran until 2022, with somewhere around 12,000 to 13,000 of these visas granted since 2008. Russian and Chinese investors were two of the most prominent groups to benefit. Britain didn't just turn a blind eye. It actively courted this wealth. This combination, a historic offshore network, a deregulated financial center, and a political class hungry for foreign investment, created the perfect storm. London had built itself into the ideal laundromat, a safe haven for capital with few questions asked. For years, campaigners and journalists sounded the alarm, but they were largely ignored. It took the shock of Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine in 2022 for the UK government to publicly confront its dirty money problem. The rhetoric was strong. Sanctions were announced. The government rushed through the Economic Crime, Transparency and Enforcement Act, creating a new register of overseas entities to force anonymous companies owning UK property to declare their real owners. A new kleptocracy cell was set up in the National Crime Agency. The government declared there would be nowhere to hide. But has it worked? The evidence suggests the crackdown is full of holes. Investigations by the International Consortium of Investigative Journalists, through leaks like the Pandora Papers, have revealed just how deep the rot goes. And they've uncovered the biggest loophole of all: trusts. The new register has rules for companies, but opaque trusts remain a major gap in the legislation. A wealthy individual can place their assets in a trust controlled by a nominee, allowing the true owner to remain hidden from public view. Even when the new laws do apply, enforcement has been patchy. Analyses in 2023 and 2024 showed high rates of non-compliance, with many firms required to declare their real owners on the new register. Failing to do so, the government also resisted key amendments to its economic crime legislation, arguing that existing rules were sufficient, while critics warned that this left major loopholes open. While billions in Russian-linked assets have been reported frozen, investigations have found properties tied to sanctioned individuals that have not been frozen, hidden behind these complex trust structures. The UK is playing a game of catch-up against an industry of enablers who have spent decades perfecting the art of concealment. And for now, it seems the launderers are still one step ahead. The story of Londongrad is not just about Russian oligarchs. It's about a global system where London has become a financial home away from home for kleptocrats and autocrats from all over the world. This flood of illicit cash has real-world consequences. It props up corrupt regimes abroad. It has distorted London's property market, pushing prices far beyond the reach of ordinary people. And it poisons democracy as money is quietly converted into influence. While recent reforms are a step in the right direction, they have so far proven insufficient to dismantle a system that was decades in the making. The core tension remains. London's economy benefits immensely from this foreign capital, even as it risks its reputation and security. The oligarch market is as strong as ever. If Russian money leaves, buyers from other parts of the world are ready to step in. The shimmering towers of London may be built on steel and glass, but many are held up by a foundation of secrecy and questionable wealth. And the real question is, how much is the city truly willing to sacrifice for its share of the spoils?